Car Jarrett, ladies and gentlemen, let us stand and bow our heads as we pray. Amen. Almighty Father, we are gathered before you today to dedicate this business center to your glory and to your purposes. We are reminded of your words in Proverbs 16:3, which says, "Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established." We commit this work to you, acknowledging that all wisdom, provision, and success comes from you. I pray that every aspect of this endeavor will be guided by your wisdom and truth. May it be a place of productivity, innovation, excellence, where your name is honored. Lord, I pray today for the tenants, leaders, and employees who will operate within this center. Grant them success and integrity in all their interactions. Help them to be diligent and faithful stewards of the resources entrusted to them. We lift up also the business partners, and I pray that their businesses will flourish and prosper under your guidance. We pray for faithful collaborations, mutual support, and shared success. Let this complex be a hub of a positive impact where relationships are built in this community. And as we commit this endeavor to you today, we remember the words of Psalm 127, "Unless the Lord builds a house, those who build it labor in vain." And Lord, this afternoon in this moment, as we are gathered here today, I lift up the parish of St. James before you, which is in crisis, under lockdown. Father, this afternoon we are but mere men, but you are God, and all power and authority belong to you. And in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, that you have given to us, Father, this afternoon we take authority over the forces of darkness, and we bind them in Jesus' name. Expose evil, and give our leadership the strategy, wisdom, and courage to resolve and overcome and subdue this evil, that we can live peaceful and prosperous lives. Today, we dedicate the proceedings to you, trusting for your guidance and provision. May it bring glory and honor to your name. And we pray this in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. You may be seated.
Thank you, Pastor Wildish. It is a pleasure to be in such illustrious yet familiar company. Friends, colleagues, partners, guests, and media practitioners, welcome and good afternoon. Indeed, the privilege is mine to introduce our stakeholders, specially invited guests, and luminaries. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. Senator, the Honorable Albin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Honorable Marlene Malahou Fort, Honorable Matthew Somuda, the Honorable Homer Davis, Members of Parliament, Councillor Richard Vernon, Deputy Mayor of Montego Bay, Bishop, the Honorable Conrad Pitkin, Custos Rotolorum for the Parish of St. James, Mr. Mark Carr Jarrett, Executive Chairman, Barnett Limited, and Mrs. Anya Carr Jarrett, members of the business community, in particular, members and directors of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, other specially invited stakeholders, community members, media representatives. As a son of the soil here in Montego Bay, indeed I was born in Barnett View, well at the Idemire Hospital, but that's where I spent my formative years. Even a cursory view of the indelible contribution of how finely weaved into the tapestry of Western Jamaica and Montego Bay in particular, Barnett Limited is revealing itself to have unlimited vision, which occasions us to announce Barnett Business Center. This is BBC. We join in celebrating their platinum 70 years, platinum anniversary. Give them a big round of applause. From 1953 to 2023, an impressive milestone that represents 7 decades of experiences, adventures, wisdom, and relationships. It's a view and a vantage point that rises above the 3 stories of the BBC. A storied history of a river, a street, a lane, an estate, and a tech park. A rich legacy of graft, community, industry, and innovation. So here we are today giving word, sound, and power to and through the BBC, broadcasting to the world at a frequency that everyone can hear and appreciate. A project that preceded, survived, and thrived despite a pandemic. In fact, what is endemic to Jamaicans, Montegonians in particular, is a spirit of industry and innovation. Imagine vision meeting location while juxtapositioning the global services sector with the private sector enterprise, and you will discover Barnett Business Center. The nuts and bolts of this prestigious and inauspicious occasion we will get to when so many of our guests follow and talk about what this is about. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, with an introduction like that, I think it's time for us to introduce Councillor Richard Vernon, the Deputy Mayor of Montego Bay, to bring greetings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremonies, Brian Brown. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Senators, Ministers, Members of Parliament, Custos, members of the business community, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished, of course, good evening. Good evening. If anyone here is still wondering how we will achieve our 3rd national goal, which is to make Jamaica prosperous in the very near future, this evening you are witnessing a piece of the puzzle. Indeed, Barnett Limited has contributed significantly to business development within the municipality for over 70 years and continues to improve the local economic architecture of our city. As we gather to acknowledge another seismic movement in the business landscape, this time in the form of the Barnett Business Center, I must convey the support of the St. James Municipal Corporation. We appreciate the work done over the years, which has fundamentally reinforced the macroeconomic environment of St. James, accelerated ICT development, and provided employment for thousands of citizens. As a result, Montego Bay is rapidly becoming more competitive internationally, justifying its claim as the fastest growing city in the Caribbean. Certainly, Barnett Limited has been shaping communities, impacting industries, and developing Jamaica. Some time ago, Mr. Carl Jarrett made a proposal for the change of use of property to transform the Barnett Tech Park into what it is today. The recommendations made to Council outlined the development which, in essence, was changing the property from land designated for agriculture to a commercial space. The proposal was opposed by a few, but eventually got support from the Council. And I'm grateful that good sense prevailed and the Council supported the development. I must also commend Mr. Carl Jarrett for his resilience, drive, and determination to transform the space and, in effect, Montego Bay. Give him a round of applause. The political economy of Montego Bay continues to strengthen as we endeavor to create a more enabling business environment. The St. James Municipal Corporation has received building and subdivision applications this year, valuing over $50 billion. 76% of these applications have been processed and approved within 90 days or less. And we continue to improve our capacity to ascertain a target of 85% approvals within the next 6 months. This level of efficiency is vital as we reposition our city for a significant development over the next 5 years. Nonetheless, as we expedite business plans, we ensure strict adherence to building codes for safe and reliable outcomes. Additionally, we have invested over $350 million this fiscal year to improve economic infrastructure as we understand the need for efficiency along our parochial roadways, particularly as Montego Bay transforms into a regional hub of the Caribbean. We refer to air transport and expansion, rooms, jobs, healthcare, and hospitality. Speaking of economic infrastructure, Montego Bay has all the prerequisites for a modern and smart transportation hub. We are patiently awaiting that one, Mr. Prime Minister. The commitment of our local authority to facilitate orderly growth and the enterprising acumen of land stewards and industry collaborators such as Barnett Tech Limited underpins our drive as a city towards sustainability, partnership for prosperity, and our thrust to build back stronger. I have no doubt that the plans of this government, led by the Prime Minister, of course, to include the perimeter road and bypass, will enhance the rural-urban movement of employment, which also means a few more phases to the estuary and more development to facilitate what is about to be a burgeoning population in Montego Bay and St. James. This development also means massive improvement in social overhead capital for our city. Montego Bay is eager to realize the dawn of transformation, a transformation that accounts for economic enhancement and social development, while simultaneously providing environmental protection and a robust local authority to manage the development process. For now, we celebrate with Barnett Limited. We congratulate you on this new milestone and look forward to the plethora of services being arranged for our citizens, the jobs being created, and the opportunity for Montego Bay to become the place of choice to live, to work, to raise families, and do business. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Councillor Richard Vernon, Deputy Mayor of Montego Bay. It gives me distinct pleasure to bring greetings. A man I know mostly as the pastor of the church I attended, still attend from time to time, Faith Temple Assemblies of God. Today, he wears a distinguished hat of Custos Rotolorm of St. James, and as he has done for some time now. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Bishop the Honorable Conrad Pitkin.
Thank you, Master Sermonist, Mr. Brian Brown, and I will have no comment on your attendance. Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, Senator the Honorable Orbin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Honorable Marlene Malahoo Fort, the Honorable Matthew Samuda, Honorable Omar Davis, Members of Parliament, Councillor Richard Vernon, Deputy Mayor for the City of Montego Bay, Mr. Mark Carr Jarrett, Executive Chairman, Barnett Limited, and Mrs. Anya Carr Jarrett, members of the business community, other special invited stakeholders and community members, media representatives. Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to be here to celebrate with you the opening of the new Barnett Business Center. No one is more deserving of congratulations than the Managing Director, Mr. Mark Jarrett, and his family, and for their commitment to the development of the parish of St. James. It is through their tireless energy and enthusiasm, combined with their vision, that we are here this evening. Commendation must also be given to the team that worked alongside him to make this vision and dream a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, today marks the culmination of an idea. Indeed, an organization must move with the times. This center will be a commercial and retail development along other facilities and services to serve the Western Jamaica. And today, we thank God for the blessings that he has showed and bestowed upon this establishment. I must commend everyone who was involved in every step of the way for contributing to the inauguration of this new center. The building opens up a new space for commitment and importance, designed and built to meet the increasing demand and expectation of our new customers. Ladies and gentlemen, this center will be open once, but the future starts afresh with every new day. An investment such as this is a sign of confidence in Jamaica and in the know-how and expertise of the staff, and a call for continued excellence. This complex will be reaching for the sky in innovation, modern facility, and sustainability. And I know that this new facility will enrich the fabric of our society in Montego Bay and in the wider Jamaica. And as you celebrate your 70th anniversary, my congratulations to you for your continued commitment to the development of your parish and your nation. Will you put your hands together again for the Barnett family? Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to celebrate with Mark and his family. But I stand here also with a heavy heart and a bleeding one as a custos of this parish. And it would be remiss of me not to mention the recent spate of violent killings in our beloved and beautiful parish, especially the brutal and barbaric killing of 8-year-old Justin and 9-year-old Nikolai on Monday afternoon. As a parent and as the first citizen of this parish, my heart bleeds. And I ask myself, and I ask you all this evening, what kind of cold-hearted, brute beasts are these persons who would snuff out the lives of these young boys? Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us as a nation to speak with one voice. I call upon the business community of St. James not to be daunted by what has happened, not to be discouraged, but let us stand strong. Let us be resolved that we will win the battle. We together as a people will bring our beautiful parish back to some semblance of decency. It is time. In fact, the time has long gone when we must stand together and unite as a people and fight the scourge of crime and violence in our nation. Let us be united, every one of us, until justice is brought to the perpetrators. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, as I close, congratulations to Mr. Mark Jarrett and his team on a job well done. May God continue to bless this company, our parish, and Jamaica, land we love. I thank you.
Let me have the protocol, sir. Thank you, Bishop, the Honorable Conrad Pickin. There is nothing wrong with Jamaica that cannot be fixed by what is right with Jamaica. In the interest and out of respect for your time and your patience earlier today, we'll move along in a business-like manner. But mark my words that the next speaker probably needs no introduction. And I probably gave him away, and you have a program. He is an inductee in the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry Hall of Fame, Wall of Fame, and in the Global Services of Jamaica, Association of Jamaica Hall of Fame as well. He has been such a big part of so many industries in Jamaica. But I'll let him speak for himself. Ladies and gentlemen, to bring remarks, Mr. Mark Jarrett, CDJP, Executive Chairman, Barnett Limited.
Thank you very much, Brian. Good evening and welcome, everybody. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, thank you very much. I know this is a really difficult time for you, given the past activities here in Montego Bay. Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Horace Chang, you too, sir, you have our support. The Honorable Minister Orvin Hill, welcome. The Honorable Homer Davis and Marlene Malahoo Fort, Mr. Heroy Clark, Mr. Richard Vernon, Costas, ladies and gentlemen, the directors of the Global Services Association of Jamaica, thank you very much, and the Barnett team are here. I would really like to take the opportunity to thank the following people for their invaluable contribution to the completion of the Barnett Business Center. And as was said, this was a team effort. I am the one that has the privilege to stand up here and say thank you. I must also say the Honorable Godfrey Dyer OJ, good to see you, sir. Blessings. And that team is so ably led by Miss Shelley Josephs, our General Manager and Team Leader. Shelley, where are you at? Thank you very much. Without you, this could never have happened. I'd also like to thank Ms. Tasha Wright, who is now employed in the U.S., who was the project manager, Ms. Nicola Simpson, who took over from her, the project manager. I'd also like to recognize Mr. Oliver Holmes, who is from Capital Options and our financial consultants, and ensures that there is a positive bottom line to every development that we do. Thank you very much, sir. Your experience, expertise, and professionalism is invaluable. I'd also like to thank my wife, Anya, who has been the realtor and responsible for the tenanting of this facility. I'd like to thank the entire Barnett team, every one of you. Please just stand for me. Thank you very much. And this is a team effort. I'm the captain and have the privilege, but we all have an equal part to play. And let me just say to you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really sorry about the delay. It was unavoidable, and we really, really appreciate your patience and forbearance. I'd also really like to just thank the development team, Virtuoso Architects. Ewan Darling has passed on, unfortunately, but Sheldon Morris and Horace Matthews. Julio Chin, the civil engineers, which is David Golson. Allied Steel, the building suppliers, Mike Stock. Prime Development, Michael and Monique Todd. Luke Graham and their team. They were the general contractors and the movers and shakers here. Thank you very much. The metal fabricators were David Subaran, the MF&P engineers Troy Sinclair, S&G Asphalt, and I can't forget our public sector partners at the St. James Municipal Corporation, Mr. Trevian Manning from planning and Mr. Michael Whitaker from in planning as well. Thank you very much. You're invaluable. I'd like to thank Mr. Saad Campbell from the Works and Roads Department at the St. James Municipal Council. Also, acting president of the NWC, Mr. Kevin Carr. Without water is life, right? And for the Jamaica Special Economic Zone, Ms. Kelly Dawn and her team. And the NEPA team, Del Monte Clark and team. Our investors and partners and the tenants. ACT, Carol Bell, Conduent, Lynn Langford and her team. Omni Nearshore, Marie White, Centerfield, Tamara Smith, Bird Shack, Rocket Ship Couriers, Delta Supply, Quality Building Supplies, Western Gynecology, Edge Chem, Mr. Christopher Gonzalo, dentist. Nobody's down in the mouth here, right? And the Mini Mart with Mr. Russell Horton, today's office with Brian and Beth DeCasseres, DFL Imports, Prescripta Kime, Lashaholic, Soné Medical Center, the Sagicor and JN for their input with the automatic telemachines, and Vista Print, who was our first investor and the icebreaker for this development. Thank you very much. The events team led by Miss Montego Bay, Janet Silvera, organized all of this. Thank you, ma'am. I know you're a little hot under the collar, but boy, things are going, right? I'd really like to thank the press for being here and for being so patient. And also to the security personnel led by ACP Clifford Chambers and SSP Vernon Ellis, soon to be ACP. I prophesy that, right? And so it was a team effort, a large team, Prime Minister, as you can see. And we worked together very well. I think we got through this, Shelley, in what, 18 months? In 18 months. So we started in 2019, imported all the steel, COVID came, we shut down for 18 months, got up and running again in late 21, November of 21, of 22, 2020. Yeah, November of 2020, we got up and running again, and we're fully tenanted by November 2022. So we're there. But Prime Minister, I have an appeal to make, sir. And that is that our greatest challenge in all aspects of the private sector growth is the availability of quality human resources. The medium to long-term solution will, without a doubt, require a total reformation of the educational system, and this will take time. But I would like to throw out a suggestion. I made 15 years ago, sir. And that is the fastest way to free up trained and experienced human resources is through the public sector reform program. Right now, every sector in the economy is having a very challenging time finding suitable employees to fill nearly every human resource aspect of business processes and administration, to the point where Mr. Ian Deere, followed by Mr. John Gilbert Biles, is calling for the importation of skilled individuals from the CARICOM, and we at Barnett are actually looking at developing high-density workforce housing facilities to accommodate them for every aspect of development. If, Prime Minister, we can right-size the public sector with regards to the number of staff, this could create thousands of human resources available that are skilled, trained, and experienced people available to the private sector, immediately filling the HR resource needs we are struggling with. If the people need to relocate island-wide for employment reasons, could I suggest that the NHT buy up the equity in these former public servants' homes and transfer it to new homes in other areas of the island? Let me also suggest that one of the greatest obstacles to upskilling and retooling business and industry is the onerous conditions imposed on employers through the Redundancy and Termination Act. Let me add that I have no reservations about paying notice pay to severed employees, as this will support them during their period of looking for new employment. But with all due respect, sir, the redundancy payments are actually a disincentive to looking for new employment and a major burden to the businesses in increasing efficiency, productivity through retooling and upskilling. The current massive redundancy payments are sometimes more expensive and costly than the retooling exercises itself. For example, in 1996, when we were a sugar farm, I wanted to move us forward from hand and manual reaping to mechanical harvesting, which would reduce our reaping and delivery crew from 102 persons to 9, and allow us to cut green cane and not burnt, and give us a higher TCTS ratio, and also allow us to react better to factory breakdowns without spoilage in the field. The termination and redundancy payments were more than the cost of the new equipment, which in 1996 was in excess of $550,000 US. We very nearly did not do it. And to be honest, sir, it did not work because the burden of the loan payments to support the termination and redundancy and the new equipment, we couldn't manage both. And we ended up selling the equipment 4 years later and shutting down the sugar operations. But, as the Lord would have it, more people are now employed in one of our 5 buildings than were employed on the entire 2,000 acres of sugar cultivation and factory, and for that matter, the banana, papaya, mango, and vegetable cultivations combined. But that and the effects of predial larceny forced the agricultural production to be terminated. But that, sir, is for another occasion. Mr. Prime Minister, these are some pretty scary suggestions, I know, but ones I believe will immediately support the continued economic growth that your leadership and discipline have fostered, and it will give the private sector some breathing room to further expand by making available the fiscal space and the human resources needed to facilitate further economic growth and job creation. Therefore, let us not look at public sector reform with trepidation, but consider it as a reward for all of our hard work and a way to further facilitate the growth and expansion of the economy by redeploying some of the most well-trained and experienced human resources available into the productive sector, and thus change them from being a liability to an asset on the national balance sheet. Prime Minister, forgive me if I've overstepped my bounds, but I think we are at such a pivotal time in our national development that further bold steps must be taken to sustain our upward trajectory, and that maybe It is something that needs to be done at the beginning of your next term. However, I really believe that if done now, as it is so essential that the country would respect your courage and commitment to national growth and reward you at the polls without a doubt. We have come too far and suffered too much in getting to where we are today. We cannot let apprehension paralyze us. Lee Kuan Yew is a good example of what bold and decisive action can do to ensure a nation's success. And Prime Minister, you have shown that you have this iron and commitment, and we will continue to stand beside you and share the load of building this our nation into the pearl of the Western Hemisphere. Prime Minister, we at Barnett want to continue to develop this tech park, now with over 6,000 seats, but our tenants and investors need quality human resources to drive their expansion. I believe, sir, that together we can weather any storm and overcome any obstacle that opportunity naturally puts in our path. Together, Prime Minister, we are unbeatable. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today to celebrate with us. And thanks again to every member of the team that has so, beyond the calling, contributed to this development. And may I ask the Lord to bless you, and may He continue to bless Jamaica, land we love. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mark Carr-Jarrett, Executive Chairman, Barnett Limited. Give him another round of applause, please. Your program has entertainment as our next item, but since we've already enjoyed the sounds of saxophonist Mark Gooden, I will not entertain that notion, but will instead introduce our next speaker. Minister Aubin Hill has over 35 years of working experience in the private sector. After the 2020 elections, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness invited Senator Aubin Hill to join his cabinet in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. On January 11, 2022, Prime Minister Holness reshuffled the cabinet and appointed Minister Hill as Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, for which he has responsibility for 20 agencies and departments. He has a firm interest in facilitating and enabling, as well as encouraging small and large Jamaican businesses to grow and be profitable. His focus is on growing exports exponentially and securing greater local and foreign direct investments sustainably into the Jamaican economy. Allow me to welcome Senator the Honorable Aubin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brian Brown. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister. I have to recognize our Deputy Prime Minister and my other cabinet colleagues. All of them have been recognized before. Members of Parliament that I share Parliament with. Bishop, the Honorable Conrad Pitkin, Custos Rotolorum of St. James. Mr. Mark Carr-Jarrett, the Chief Executive Officer of Barnett Limited. Mrs. Anya Carr-Jarrett, who is doing such a great job at getting these buildings rented. To recognize Councillor Richard Vernon, because he's so pivotal in getting these things done, who is the Deputy Mayor of Montego Bay, and of course his colleagues from the Municipality Council. My own Mrs. Kelly Dawn Hamilton, who is the new CEO, just branded CEO of Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority. Kelly Dawn is here. She's working with MP Herod to make sure she gets things done. Media practitioners, for your patience and for being here distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Visionaries have the foresight to identify economic opportunities and formulate strategies that foster sustainable growth. They invest in industries that create jobs, build communities, generate wealth, and contribute to the overall prosperity of the nation. Visionaries attract foreign investment, the second part of the name of my ministry, enhancing the country's economic interconnectedness and bring financial capital and management expertise to the country. I see Pastor Wildish there. Good to hear you, Pastor. Remember your grandfather very well at Keswick. We thank you for the blessing and the prayer. Visionaries who are invariably entrepreneurial work to develop and expand communities. They work towards community modernization and digital connectivity. They facilitate the movement of goods and services. They look at employment. And over the last 20 to 30 years, I have watched Mark. When I came back to Jamaica, one of the first people I met, he had this grandiose idea about all kinds of things in Montego Bay. And when I look at what he showed the Prime Minister and his delegation today, which he showed to me a couple of months ago in my office, it reminded me so much of what I saw happen in Dubai when I was there, when I served as a banker in that region. And not just Dubai, but Dubai stands out because Dubai was nothing. And Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid changed that place with all kinds of plans. What I saw today and what you want to have done to make sure Montego Bay is that place that we want to live in. And Madam General Manager, great job that you're doing. Wonderful. It's just amazing. It gives me a great feeling. Jamaica is changing. Mark Carjarret and Barnett Limited are now an integral part of that change in changing Western Jamaica and Jamaica overall. The Barnett Business Center is an expanding special economic zone stakeholder and the parent company of Barnett Limited. He's a developer in the SEZ. The SEZ is very close to my heart and the government's heart. The Andrew Holness administration has given tremendous support. I remember in the pandemic, I got called from Alaric. We can say that now. That time was a problem. Gloria's right there. Gloria would be with me in the evening. I'd be talking to people in California. But the BPO sector, which you're now providing space for, has bolstered our economy during that period of time. And I'm very pleased to see that you're a developer in the SEC and continuing to do so. I wanted to note that it's a very special place he occupies. But the SEZ offers amazing benefits, and I want people to understand this. A master developer, Mark is a developer that is building out space for other people. A master developer is somebody we're looking to take over Caymanas, 650 acres. Take it on. You get a lease for 50 years, renewable at the lessee option. You get tremendous benefits. All the real estate income you make as a master developer at Caymanas or the other ones that we have in Trelawney, those will go tax-free for up to 50 years, depending on how you negotiate and what you're putting in. The plans will be there, and you get the additional benefits like the tax, the GCT exemption that Mark gets rather. And if you, depending on how many people you employ, the non-real estate development revenue that you get will be taxed only at 12.5%, and that could fall to as low as 7.75%. So the SEZ is there to help Jamaica transition and change. Sugar is gone. Banana is gone. Mark told you, you heard, he employs, or the people who rent these buildings, employ more people in one of these buildings than all of the 2,000 acres of Barnett Estate. So I was at a Kiwanis Club meeting the other day speaking. So one of the guys took me on, said, "You're the guy who divested the sugar. You're the guys who mashed up the thing in Clarendon." He didn't say that word. He was diplomatic. But that's what he meant. So I said, "Hello, I understand. And I know how you feel about this. But what I did under the guide of the government is divest something that was causing ordinary Jamaicans, poor Jamaicans in St. Elizabeth and Manchester and St. James, to pay $5 billion a year to keep that subsidized." We said we just couldn't do it anymore. He didn't have any argument after that, you understand? So why is SEZ important? Because we have to change Jamaica. Because we have to make sure we find employment. Barnett is doing that very, very well. I am so pleased to be here with the Prime Minister's team to see what Mark is offering. And, you know, the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Jamaica's business ministry, is very supportive of what is going on because it's an export business. Every one of those people working here do an export product to go overseas. I'm going to leave you with this number. The Andrew Holness administration, led by Prime Minister Holness, taken up front charge by Dr. Nigel Clark, we have managed the debt. We put our arms around the neck and the waist, and we've managed it down from the high where we took it on in 2016, from 147% high when we joined the IMF, now down to about 74% and going down to 60%. But I have a challenge for all of us in here. When I took over, when the Prime Minister sent me to Industry, Investment and Commerce, I asked for the numbers. I saw the trade numbers 2 months after I came out. We imported $5.975 billion US dollars. We sold a measly $1.441 billion. The negative trade balance is $4.534 billion. So I said, all right, we're in our 62nd year of independence. Give me the numbers, the trade numbers for all those years. Well, out of the 62 years, we've had 1 year of positive trade balance. So we can reduce our debt, which we must continue to do. But in any company, if you cut all your expenses to zero and you don't have revenues in our company, we have to build that export revenue. We have to export exponentially. Mark is doing that. The global digital services sector that Gloria and Anna now lead, and everybody's in there performing for us, is vitally important. Mark Carr-Jarrett, congratulations on Barnett Business Center. Thank you.
Done? Please, one more time for the words and the message of Senator the Honorable Albin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Hold the phones. Did everybody know that tomorrow is Mark's birthday? This is as good a gift as there gets. We're not going to sing happy birthday for you. Are we going to do it? We're not going to do that. We might be afterwards. But happy pre-birthday, sir. It starts officially in about... Who's going to sing? Oh, I thought you said Dr. Chang was going to sing. Is it his birthday tomorrow as well? All right, well, there you go. Is your birthday here? What's going on here? Yes, all right. I need to see all your IDs. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Thank you so much, Minister Hill. In 2011, at age 39, Andrew Michael Holness became the youngest ever person to become Prime Minister of Jamaica. 5 years later, in 2016, he became the youngest person to be elected Prime Minister. Prior to ascending to the country's highest office, as Minister of Education, he brought national attention to focus on literacy, and he stewarded the introduction of the Career Advancement Program, CAP, which echoes some of what Mr. Carr-Jarrett was speaking about earlier. about upskilling and retooling our human resources and its supporting technologies. His focus on growth for all Jamaicans and creating a higher standard of living is something he preaches about ad nauseum. It's something he believes in. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to bring the main address, the most honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica.
Thank you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. You will understand if I dispense with the protocols, because I must extend, first of all, an apology for our late start. It's all because of me. I was diverted and distracted to look about other matters in your parish, which I don't want to bring to this platform, but I'm sure you all understand that I could not have come to St. James and not go and visit persons who have been so affected by a dastardly beast that is in our midst, that of violence, which would have taken the lives of two of our young Jamaicans with so much potential. Having said that, I'm very pleased to be here today to officially open the newly constructed Barnett Business Center. Now, I gather that this is a US $15 million investment. That is significant. No one takes up that magnitude of resources and makes that investment unless they were certain about the returns, unless they could calculate the risk, unless the environment was stable, unless they knew that the human resources to properly manage this investment existed, unless they felt that the political environment was stable. It is the government that creates that stability. That the investment has taken place, it means that the government is doing its job and has done it well enough to ensure that the investment takes place. Now, the reason why I said that is that there is a narrative abroad in our land which suggests that the sky is falling or about to fall, that there is calamity and there's nothing happening, and it is a very depressing narrative. But the reality is quite different. Imagine that just a few days before, on Tuesday, I was opening a new expanded production facility in another industry, not a competing industry, for 30 million US dollars. A lot is happening in our country. And both investments will substantially increase the demand for labor. I am certain that this new development is going to put even more pressure on our labor force for labor. I hear the calls that are being made. It is a delicate subject. I tread on it carefully. I hear the analogy being placed in the public domain about Lee Kuan Yew. Jamaica is a vastly different country in its values, in its culture, and in its institutions. And so governments have to tread very carefully in respecting and understanding how our people think. But government can't be trapped by thoughts, values, outlooks, perspectives that are not in the best interest of the country. And so it is the case, Mark, that many of our people, our society, hold views on matters, and they hold them strongly and dearly. But they haven't fully interrogated them. They haven't really examined these views to realize that the perspectives that they hold actually lock them into a particular reality. That if they were to change their outlook, change their mindset, they could rise to even higher planes of existence. It is the job and duty of our politicians, of our business people, of our preachers and pastors and people who have influence and have been exposed and have knowledge to bring our people along. It is not a dictate. It is not an edict. It is not ignoring how the people feel. But we must have the conversation about how we change our perspective. When the conversation regarding the shortage of labor first came to public light, immediately there were those reactionaries who jumped up and said, "Oh, you want to bring in foreign people," as if there was some nefarious plan to deprive people of employment. Not recognizing that our situation has changed. The definition of Jamaica has changed. If you were to say, define Jamaica 20 years ago, by virtue of the features of its economy, you would say a country that has high debt, unstable exchange rate, high inflation, high unemployment. How do you define Jamaica today? It's a totally different definition. A country with low unemployment, stable exchange rate, inflation targeted and coming back to stability, debt on its way down. Therefore, the outlook that we held of ourselves as a people 20 years ago cannot be the outlook that we hold today to take us to the next level. What changed in our outlook? You know what changed? There was a view that buying government paper was investment. Yeah. That was how Jamaican business people, entrepreneurs viewed investment, that we could just buy government paper and get high interest rates. It was when we were steering financial collapse and we stood at the edge of the precipice and we understood that we need to change from being addicted to borrowing. And it didn't matter if it was a JLP government or a PNP government, there has to be a social consensus about good fiscal management. And we built that social consensus, and we put in place the institutions and the legislation. We changed laws. And now today we are reaping the benefits of that because our outlook changed. Our perspectives changed. For us to move to the next level, we're going to have some change in perspectives. Mr. Carr Jarrett placed certain considerations in the public domain. I make no comments on them. It is his opinion. I'm merely saying that as we progress as a society and we begin to conquer some of the thinking that traps us into the reality that we are in. We have dealt with fiscal responsibility. We now understand the country can't borrow to build your roads. We can't borrow to fix your hospitals. We have to be earning. We can't take public funds that we should be used to fixing schools to subsidize industries that are inefficient and not working. As the minister pointed out. Which was even further borne out by the fact that Mr. Jarrett, who was in the industry, moved out of that industry and is now in a different industry. It was not depriving people of any benefit. What it did was to open up new vistas of opportunity for the people. So now you are employing more people in real estate development and the other industries that it spurred than you were employing in sugar, with all the subsidies of the government that would have gone to the industry. So it meant that we took a more efficient perspective on the use of our resources. Now, where are we now? What is it that we need to change? As we have developed this special economic zone as it is, with industries coming in, utilizing the natural resources of the country, the people, we have as a government recognized that the compensation of our labor needed attention. Banks made a sacrifice, investment companies made a sacrifice, they took a small haircut when we went through the various debt exchanges as we worked through bringing Jamaica back from the precipice. So too did labor. Several wage freezes, wage increases that did not keep pace with inflation. And so the government is cognizant of this. And we went through a compensation review. We are going through a compensation review. It is not yet complete. There are anomalies that need to be resolved. But a significant percentage of the labor force of the government would have experienced an improvement in their compensation. We have increased the minimum wage so that the average person can also have some benefit of the general economic improvement. But what is the next level? So now we are getting more people employed. We are improving how people are paid. What is the next level for us? The next level for us is to treat with productivity. So look at the conversation. We need to manage the public finances so that we are not indebted, so that we don't spend 70% out of every dollar the country earns to service debt. All right, we are doing well with that. We're about 30%. The next conversation is we need stability in the economy so businesses can grow, businesses can invest. You have had 7 years of no new taxes. You can't ask for better than that because we have never had that in our history. Okay, we have people not having work, people not having income. You are now at 4.5% unemployment, not once but twice measured. The lowest ever in our history. All right, well, you're employing people, but we're not paying them enough. The pay is too low. We're addressing that, going through the compensation review, increasing minimum wage. So what's the next level now? The next level is the big elephant in the room, which nobody wants to address. We're all skirting around it. Productivity. So we've been getting growth. 2%, 3%. We really need to break that ceiling and start to get 4, 5, 6, 7. And how we get that? It's through productivity. All the conditions are in place to increase our productivity. Everyone here who works should ask yourself, am I giving the best that I can give? It's a question to evoke a response, because immediately the response is, am I being paid enough? The issue is, yes, I must get more, and I agree with you, but how do you get more? There's no secret stash there that we take up and pay you without it being related to what you produce. And until we get every Jamaican to understand that the increase in your ability to earn and what you earn is dependent upon what you produce, until that connection is rooted in our psyche, it is an uncomfortable fact. People don't like to hear it. And I find myself in this invidious position of always having to bring these issues to the national discourse, to be taken on by some people who only interest is to keep people in the dark and to sing lullaby stories to us without telling us the real truth of how we're going to move forward as a country. Productivity, therefore, is the next level. I had the opportunity to tour the tech park to see the global services in action. And I met some young people there, and they were very happy. And I could see in them that they understood this issue of productivity. Let me say this. The stable economic environment, particularly in terms of the tax rate, the exchange rate, the political stability, the access to labor, all of those are incentives to attract investment. If we build those, then it means that we don't have to give fiscal incentives, meaning we don't have to give people special tax breaks to come, because they can do well in the environment as it is. But the biggest attraction for a country like Jamaica, aside from the things that I have just mentioned, would be a feature, if we make that a feature of our labor force, that someone who has many options to go and invest will say, you know what, I want to come to Jamaica because Jamaica displays the highest level of productivity. It don't matter what I pay them, if I have to pay them higher than everybody else, because their productivity is high. So we don't want to be a cheap labor destination. We want to be a high productivity labor destination. That is where the sweet spot for development lies. And so to get to that, we have to do far more than we are doing now in investing in education. It is not going to be overnight. But to get to that high productivity, what we are training our children with in school now is not going to be enough. The education standards have to move to develop a more socio-emotionally regulated individual, and an individual who understands problem solving. An individual who understands the integration and adoption of technology, not fearful of technology, an individual that is pro-social, not antisocial, an individual that is pro-growth, that is not satisfied with where they are now, but by being pro-social, meaning that they follow the law as good citizens, they actively develop a good character and value system, and they are naturally economistic. They want to use the least resources to get the best output. They are also conservative. They want to preserve the natural environment, and whatever they do it in a sustainable way. That is the kind of Jamaica and Jamaican we are trying to develop. But the way in which we think sometimes hold us back. We are held hostage and anchored by our history and our past. We need to use our past, our struggles, the unfairness and inequities that was done to us in the past as a strong platform to say we can rise high above that and not be held down by that. And that's what we're building here in Jamaica, day by day, regardless of those who would try to spread falsehoods and rumors and lies on social media and keep our people believing nonsense. But we have to stand up and face the people and tell them what the real situation is. That Jamaica is changing before your very eyes. This was not happening 10 years ago. As I prepare to come down from the platform, because I know I'm, by reading the faces, I know I've challenged a lot of thoughts here. Your Deputy Prime Minister, the President of the Republic of Montego Bay, when I landed at the jet center, I was asked to present my passport and visa. The president said to me, no, he's my guest. He can come through. DPM Chang will tell you that he has been talking about the Montego Bay Perimeter Road for more than a decade. It is now happening. Work has actually started. The Montego Bay Perimeter Road will include the road itself, but more importantly, based upon the protests that I've seen, it will include the Long Hill bypass, which will be an entirely new alignment in parts and a far better road surface to drive on. It will just open up new opportunities and uplift the entire area. It will include the upgrade of Barnett Street and West Green Avenue. But more importantly, we have invested resources to do a drainage study for the Montego Bay area. That's been long overdue. As the city has grown, we have to start to be forward thinking. So we are doing some drainage that are directly related to the bypass road and to Long Hill. But that is not going to be enough. There are several rivers and drains and gullies and several areas that flood when it rains heavily. And sometimes it would appear to me that every 2 years you have an epiphenomenal rain event that floods out the entire town. So all of that is going to be studied. And once the study is done, then we can program the infrastructure investment to put in the drains, drain the rivers, build the culverts and the gullies, so that as we make these kinds of investments, we lower the risk of them being affected by natural disaster, specifically a flood event. So some of you may have seen the works going on for the bridge at in Irwin. They've started to clear and do all kinds of work there. The box culvert underpass in Irwin that has started, and the box culvert underpass in Cornwall Courts that has started. So, and we have even done some ancillary works. We have done Pega Road, 1.3 kilometers. We have resurfaced that. We've done that very early. All of that is being done now. Major works. We couldn't think of doing that 10 years ago. But you know what is so good about this road work? It is all being financed out of the budget of Jamaica. There's no borrowing there. So, my presentation to you here today is to say to you, there is a plan. It's the master's plan. I am a mere instrument in that plan. You are all instruments in that plan. But we all need to understand what the plan is. The plan is to maintain our economic stability, and your role in it is to be pro-social, support institutions, abide by the law, be innovative and creative, and those amongst you who can be entrepreneurs, use your entrepreneurial ability, but everyone must increase their productivity. And the government commits to increase and improve your security and safety. That's a big issue. The government commits to putting in place programs to treat with this virus that has infected us, causing an epidemic amongst us, the epidemic of violence, which has to be addressed frontally, deliberately, instrumentally. Because that too is also now becoming a defining feature of Jamaican life. But I'm confident that we can overcome it. We have overcome violence in one form before. In the 70s and early 80s, we had something called political violence, which then got mainstreamed into all forms of our society. But we came together as a country. We changed institutions. We put in place the ECJ. We improved our election laws. We enforced them. And now today, I can say that when we have elections, we see PNP and JLP jumping up and down in peace. And elections are not a violent undertaking. So too, we can intervene in the community of Salt Spring, of Norwood. We can improve their lives. We can change what is happening in the households and overcome violence. So, my friends, Jamaica is on a pathway. Let us not deviate. Let us not turn back. Let us keep focused. And with God's help and with our hard work, we will make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, do business, and retire in paradise. God bless you.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for a message.
Thanking everyone here for their patience, for their time, for their assistance, for their expertise. And at this time, we'd like to conclude with the final official act for today, which is the unveiling of the plaque.
Andre?
Mark is being dropped. 2, 3, the end you're holding. Yes.
Well, as we expected.
Exactly.
Here, excellent. All right, good. So this is the Barnett Business Center. This plaque was unveiled by yours truly on this historic day, November 9th, 2023, officially opening the Barnett Business Center. Thank you very much.